All right. Thank you so much for hanging out. And we just have just a few lines, or just a couple of lines on your Saturday. All right. And welcome back. Thank you guys so much for tuning in to the second dose of Black Spring with Autumn on your Saturday. So, with that in mind, I'm not going to take up a ton of time because it is Saturday. So, just wanted to bring up a couple of things. So, a couple of things, I guess, these these are the kind of things I may be eyeing or keeping an eye on, or one to watch, so to speak. We may have one to two to watch, um, and then anything else, we'll put that on another stream because I mean, there's a lot of different directions that I could go. We could sprout in many different directions, but I don't want to go too heavy at this time. So let's check our status in this season. And thank you so much for joining me. All right. Thank you guys so much once again for tuning in to this segment of Black Spring with Autumn. So, what I'm going to do is I want to talk about, like earlier, we got into a couple of things. There's no way that I would rehash every single one of those bits on this double dose here, but there were a couple of things that I promised earlier in the week, and I promised to bring you those lines. So, for starters, I want to go with we're 6 days into 2024. I thought, why not we start with the Golden Coast, and we'll start with the new laws that are going into effect in California in 2024. And this one's coming out of the Business Insider. Once again, I hope you guys are doing well out there. And I don't know, I haven't said this in a while, and it feels bizarre to say it. So I don't know, pound the like button or or the unlike button, whatever. Some attention is attention. Isn't that the philosophy of the Hollywood personalities, whatever they call themselves? Yeah. So how about that? Go ahead and pound it, or pound the like or the dislike button. I don't know. We'll get ratings, some type of ratings. Who knows? All right. So we'll start with, of course, the Golden Coast. And I will put the pendulum out shortly after after we get into these liners. I'm thinking we're doing two to three, and that way, I can give you guys the time to, if you want to drop in, of course, go for it. I also, there's some interesting things I want to get into, but they're so unrelated that it would make it a little bit less cohesive. So I'm trying to stay into a little bit of the red team, blue team kind of element, or the season, the campaign season ish kind of things, or just the tone. Just how's the tone being set in your area, like local government, or I don't know if it's city or county. Let me know. Okay, so let's go ahead and start. Once again, I hope you guys are doing well out there. Just going to be sharing the screen with you. And of course, this one is coming from the Business Insider. And this guy, he's been in the news quite a bit already. So, yeah, and some people, have thrown him out as a potential, he's a wild card that's going to come up. I don't know. I just saying what I'm hearing in the buzz. It's not factual. Just saying, it's interesting at least. Okay. All right. So from that, let's go there. Okay. So at the beginning here, this is coming from the Business Insider. Okay. So they give you a few points here at the beginning. We have, and it's all based on centered around laws. Okay. So there's about 2 to 3 things specifically, but to me, there's a whole gumbo for you. That's not very characteristic of the, Golden Coast, but in this case, let's go ahead and go with this. Hope you guys are doing well out there. Give me a sign if you can hear me, see the screen, or what's going on. Anarchy Television's here. Hi, Anarchy. John Roberts. Okay, so we're gonna go with this one first. So let's go with it. Once again, I hope you guys are doing well out there. It is a Saturday. If you're taking it easy, we're available. Woohoo! Got some ganja. Ganja. I've run into a couple of tunes lately on some interesting things on ganja lately, but here we go. We'll get started with this one. All right. So coming right up first, doctors. Hang on a second. Let me get you started from the top here. Okay, so people in California are getting more sick and can't be fired for using Mary Jane, marijuana, some call it ganja, outside work. Okay. All right. So with that said, we're going to keep going here. Okay. So here's the first point. New laws are set to go into effect in California in 2024. One will protect doctors who mail abortion pills to patients in states where abortion is illegal. Another law will prevent workplaces from firing employees for smoking weed outside work. Okay. All right. So let's go with this one. Coming right in, doctors in California who mail abortion pills to patients in other states will be protected from prosecution. Workers will receive more paid sick leave on the heels of a big year for labor. And companies can't fire employees for using marijuana outside work. These are among the hundreds of laws that take effect January 1 in the nation's most populous state. Okay, I'm talking setting the tone here, not just for the California, but I'm afraid it could be, some other states will follow. However, each year, California Governor Gavin Newsom signs hundreds of laws passed by the state legislature. Most take effect on January 1 of the following year. But sometimes lawmakers delay a law's effective date for various reasons, including giving people more time to prepare for the new rules. Some of the highest profile bills passed by the legislature in 2023 will not take effect until later. Fast food workers will get a minimum wage of $20 per hour on April 1. Ooh, they call that April Fools. Hey, some even say that April 1 is actually the beginning of a new year. Who's the joke on, right? All right, I'll keep going here. Healthcare workers are scheduled to see the first minimum wage increase on June 1st. Laws requiring businesses to report their emissions and financial risk from climate change won't take effect until 2026. All right, a law banning people from carrying guns in most public places was blocked by a federal judge just days before it was set to take effect. In 2023, the California legislature passed 1,046 bills. Newsom signed 890 of those bills into law. He vetoed 156 bills, or 14.9%, according to statistics compiled by veteran lobbyist Chris Michelli. Here's a look at some of the new laws Californians face. Okay, so here you got your ganja picture. Okay, you can't get fired for smoking pot at home. All right, so this says a new law set to be enacted in 2024 will protect workers who fail drug tests and use cannabis outside work. Okay, I'm going to keep going into this one. So some drug tests don't determine if a person is high, but only if that person has used marijuana at all in recent days. California lawmakers, thought it wasn't fair for companies to punish workers for failing these drug tests, especially since recreational marijuana has been legal in the state since 2016. A new law passed in 2022, but takes effect this year, says companies can't punish workers for failing these types of drug tests. There are exceptions for construction workers and companies that must conduct drug tests as part of federal contracts. Okay, so that's going to go into aviation. Okay, that's going to go into, because in aviation, commercial airlines, of course, you could be tested at any time. Okay, and there is, you can be tested for anything, not just one substance, but whatever they want to test you for. All right, so here we go. We got a tax increase for higher wage earners. California has a short-term disability program that pays people who cannot work because of a non-work related illness, injury, or pregnancy. A 1.1% tax on wages funds the program. In the past, this tax only applied to wages below a certain amount, about $153,000 in 2023. But starting January 1st, a new law passed in 2022, but takes effect this year, eliminates the wage cap. People who make over $153,000 annually will pay a 1.1% tax on those wages. Protections for abortion pills. Abortion is now illegal in 14 states after the U.S. Supreme Court overturned Roe v. Wade. But doctors and pharmacists in California who mail abortion pills to patients in those states will be shielded from prosecution or fines. The law bans bounty hunters or bail agents from apprehending California doctors and taking them to another state to stand trial. It even prohibits state-based social media companies such as Facebook from complying with out-of-state subpoenas, warrants, or other requests for records to discover the identity of patients seeking abortion pills. More sick leave. Workers in California will receive a minimum of 5 days of sick leave annually instead of 3, which they will accrue once they have been employed for 200 days. Labor advocates say the increase will curb the spread of disease by preventing employees from working when they are sick. But opponents say the law will be another financial burden for employers and claim some workers request sick leave when they are not ill. Here it comes. Here's that other bit. Okay, so I was off by 30 miles the other day on this one, so I stand corrected here. Community college tuition. Here it goes. Low-income Mexican residents who live within 45 miles or 72 kilometers of the California-Mexico border will be eligible for in-state tuition rates at participating Southern California community colleges under a new law signed by Newsom. Advocates say the measure will lower the burden for students to receive education and training to help prepare them for the workforce. It resembles another program in the state allowing up to 200 Nevada residents who live in certain areas near the California-Nevada border to receive in-state tuition rates at Lake Tahoe Community College. Okay, so this is your community college tuition law. I'll come back to that because it makes me think of something that Mr. Yuval Noah Harari mentioned about who's going to be useless, I guess, or who's going to be in that class of of unemployed or useless. Okay, let's keep going. Here we go with the LGBTQ plus foster youth. Foster families will be required to demonstrate their ability to meet the health and safety needs of children regardless of sexual orientation or gender identity. It is one of several bills the legislature passed this year to expand protections for the LGBTQ plus youth. Newsom vetoed another high-profile bill that would have required courts to consider whether a parent affirms their child's gender identity in custody and visitation proceedings. So let me just check in with you guys here just for a second. Hi, guys. Good. I'm glad you guys can hear me. I was thinking hopefully there was no issue there. Okay. Samoa Watchman, he says, I just came in from the alien disclosure. My goodness. Oh, no way. Good. I'm glad you came in. Come on in anytime. You're always welcome here. Gary Gage says, I'm okay with the new ganja law. The tests have always been biased. Okay, let's keep going. Man, I'm telling you, this is heavy. As I say, this is heavy, man. All this, it's a lot for Californians, to chew on right now. That's a lot. Okay, so let's get on. Let's get back over there. All right. Thank you so much, Gary Gage. Thank you guys, John Roberts, Gary Gage, Anarchy Television. So I'm saying which states are to follow, but I'm not done yet. So just hold on, hang in there. Okay. All right. So now we're going to low income housing on church land. Religious institutions and nonprofit colleges in California can now turn their parking lots and other properties into affordable housing. The new law, which helps these institutions bypass most local permitting and environmental review rules, was among several initiatives attempting to address the homelessness crisis in California. Supporters of the law said it will serve as another tool to build much needed housing in the state, but opponents said that the law takes away local control over housing developments. Harsher penalties for fentanyl dealers. Now, California lawmakers introduced a slew of bills last year aimed at addressing fentanyl overdoses, which are killing roughly 110 Californians each week. Only one measure cracking down on dealers reached Newsom's desk. The new law increases penalties for dealers who possess more than 1 kilogram, 2.2 pounds of fentanyl. Newsom also signed bills requiring stadiums and amusement parks to stock overdose reversal drugs in community colleges and California State University campuses to provide fentanyl test strips. Now, what is that? Is that Norcan? Norcan? Is that something? Is that another? Is that what that means? Like an overdose reversal drug? Help me out in there, if you guys know what I mean. Okay, here we got some things. Oh, love that cartoon. Okay, so there you have it. That's a lot. How many bills did we come in on? See here, the thing is that this is the thing with our quote leaders. There's and even with the thing at 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue, they're signing so many bills. By the time you realize what all got through with all the distractions that we have going on, the Nothing Burger, Epstein revelation list that we heard about 4 years ago. It just, but they're slipping all these things through. Now, I don't know, but still, they have to get through the other, unless he's just doing by executive order. I have no idea what those people are, those alleged consuls of red team, blue team are doing. Much of nothing, a whole lot of talk is what I suspect. I don't even look into it, because to me, it's just they're all playing the game. Okay, so I'm going to read some comments here. Let me put this pendulum out here for anybody. And we're coming in right now at a whopping 18 minutes and, well, now 19 minutes and 2 seconds. All right, so if you would like to chime in, always love to hear from you on the People's Pendulum. And let me read a couple comments right now. Let's start with someone Watchman says, sucks that I live in Cali, but work in a Massachusetts company. I don't get the beanies. Gotcha. All right, so I'm going to put the pendulum out for you. Thank you so much, Samoan. I appreciate it. Thank you so much. Okay, so here we are. All right, so next, coming in, he says benefits, the bennies. Bennies, not beanies. Sorry. Okay. Anarchy says governments are creating homelessness so they cannot have the solution. All right. Well, see, you guys are on it. You're on it. So that pendulum's out there, give us your best. Give us your best coming on in if you'd like. It's out there. Okay. So there you have it. Okay. And then next, which they'll probably try to ding me, for whatever, copyright or whatever. So, but you know what? I'm doing it. It's all in the name of dissemination of the campaign season, right? Okay, so what I'm going to show you next is we're going to go away from this one, and we are going to chime in on what Mr. Joe Biden calls, with him calling millions of Americans extremist. Okay, so has this happened before? Yes. I mean, Hillary Clinton was very comfortable with this kind of a tactic back in 2016, dare I say, when she was running against Trump. Back then, I think what was it? What were they called? A basket of deplorables. You guys remember that? Is that a bumpkins of deplorables? Or come on, help me out. That's what the pendulum's here for. Okay, so let's go ahead and go with it. So we got the the name calling going on, right? He said, did you say insemination of politics? It's a dissemination of information. Okay. Let's go ahead and pull this one. Okay, guys. All right, so here we're coming up next. We're coming in hot with, okay, this is actually coming from Gateway Pundit here on this one. I haven't seen this, so we're going to be, if you haven't seen this, we're going to be viewing it together. I've seen liners, but here we are. This is out of the Gateway Pundit. Joe Biden calls millions of Americans, quote, extremists. To me, synonymous with the basket of deplorables in first campaign ad of 2024. And I'd love for you guys to chime in. I'm going to start doing surveys. Do you guys actually think that he's going to be their ticket holder, their top ticket person? I mean, let's talk about it, okay? So let's go right now. All right. So Joe Biden's campaign launched its first propaganda video of 2024. In it, Biden calls millions of Americans extremists with images of Trump supporters made to look bad. In the video, Biden arrogantly says, there's an extremist movement that does not share the basic beliefs of our democracy, end quote. Biden is referring to patriotic Americans who love this country and support Trump. Biden's video showed images from the January 6th Capitol. Oh my gosh, that's today. Protest in the Charlottesville March. Do you see how far they need to go back? They need to go back to Charlottesville. Do you see how, they plant a seed and the media does the work? The media does the rest. Yeah, that's what they do, right? Okay, so let's watch it. Now, apparently, hopefully I can see this, or either we'll get over to, worst case, we'll get over to the X. This is of Charlie Kirk's X page, whatever, Joe Biden's first 2024 campaign. Okay. And I guess, is this his quote? It says Joe Biden's first 2024 campaign ad calls millions of Americans extremists and touts his voting rights record as they are actively kicking Trump off the ballot. George Orwell is rolling over in his grave. See, to me, George Orwell, that's a pseudonym. That wasn't even the guy's name. So he's probably not rolling over in his grave. I beg to differ. All right, let's blow this thing up, shall we? Are you guys ready?
There's an extremist movement.
Wait. I'm going to make sure you have full screen. Here we go.
There's an extremist movement that does not share the basic beliefs in our democracy. All of us are being asked right now, what will we do to maintain our democracy? History's watching. The world is watching. Most important, our children and grandchildren will hold us responsible. The Vice President and I have supported voting rights since day one of this administration, and I ask every American to join me in this cause.
Okay, are you getting this? Are you guys getting this? Okay, I just wanted you to see. Let me read this. Okay, Anarchy says, yeah, it kind of reminds me of when the king called the colonist extremist. All right, Anarchy. Gary Gage says, yes, basket of deplorables. Anarchy says, that's right. This nation is a constitutional republic, not a democracy. So, yes, I do not hold your views of your democracy. Okay, and then Gary Gage says, I don't think they will change. Well, Biden will remain. He is perfect for the swamp's creatures. Yeah, I'm going to put this in plain language. Plain folks speak. They're not coming out of office. Now, I'm not a betting woman or anything. I'm just saying they're not coming out, okay? I think because of the level of complacency and the illusions that people They people love their illusions, and they love that more than anything. They love illusions on, quote, both sides, if you will. And it's complacent, it's lazy. Either way, I think it's vastly lazy, complacent, and nothing's going to change. I don't. And of course, that's the pendulum's out there. Because if you guys remember the last one, there was a video out where he talked about how the last campaign, maybe that's what you want to call it, that they ran was one of the most sophisticated in politics, in American politics. So do you think this one will be any less? Do you think it'll be any less wicked or deceptive, or, who knows what they will roll out this time? Instead of maybe suitcases, they'll just, I'm just saying, it's very disheartening. And a lot of people are just tired of the games. I realize it's a game. Who knows? Give us a show, and then what? All the was it the Haleys and is it Ramaswamis? And it's like, really? These people are they're just characters. They're just characters out there floating around. I don't think they're going anywhere. I really don't. Just, got to fill it up with something. They've got to have some stock characters, and, they got to do something. But I just, and Karine Jean-Pierre, she always, well, I'm not going to speak to this. I'm not going to speak to that. So I don't know. She's okay. So I just wanted you guys to see that. Now, when I look at the imagery, and that all this is a total complete symbolism. So if you don't mind, let me bump this back a little bit. Okay. You have a child, a bus full of children. Let's go. I'm gonna play this one more time, okay? Because I want to make sure I didn't miss. Because I haven't looked. Like I said, this was the first time I'd seen it. So there's a lot of, they're fighting for, whatever. We'll just play it back here. Okay, here we go. I could very well do it with no sound on this one, because I'm looking at it for the imagery as well, because there's a goal here. There's communication, telecom here. It's a little bit stuck. Let's see if we can't bump it back. I think this is not my original source for it, so I'll go back to the page. But yeah, so I was just trying to bump that back so that I could see.
There's an extremist movement.
Okay, so we'll just put it here. Okay, but really, do you really think you're having to borrow material from, is it Charlottesville? Why don't they show that, like, that Demon Knight thing that he was at the podium where he had the Marine, the soldiers in the background? Why aren't they showing that? But I think he's going to come out with a whole bunch of those. So you got doves flying, schools, guns, inclusivity, so inclusive that you're exclusive. Yeah, I'm just saying. No, I'm just saying that you guys picking this up. All right. Let's go. John Roberts says KJP is Raggedy Ann, sir. Yes, indeed. Gary Gage says that just my opinion, but Ramaswamy is an agent for President Trump. Yeah, well, but I forgot about DeSantis, and I'm hearing he's pretty much he's another paid for, bought and paid for one. So I don't know. Is this really interesting to you guys? Are you entertained? All right, we should plug that in. Are you entertained? A scene for Gladiator. I don't know. I can't hear you guys out there. All right, so let's look at something really quickly. Then I'll let this one. Let's look at this situation really quickly I want to talk about this press secretary and John Kirby. and then we'll finish it off with the Cat Williams. I want you to hear it from him. Okay. All right. So let's go ahead and run over to the alleged tensions. I mean, to me, is it really that hard to compete with Jean-Pierre? Really? I don't know. Who knows? Who knows? Okay, so we'll go ahead and go with hang on, I was there and then I wasn't. Hang on, just 2 shakes here. Sorry about that, guys. Okay, it's actually right there. Let me go back. Okay, I think now we're back to business. Yeah, so guys, if you're out there, if you feel like it, if you're interested, you can always pick up that pendulum. And I'm just thinking, this is what we're looking at. We're looking at a wash, rinse, and repeat. The season of propaganda is only gonna it's just getting started. Okay, this is thanks. I gotta get it together today. Because this is another liner from Axios. Okay, and this is, I mean, I actually endure KJP's press meetings, because to me she only does about 20 minutes. Kirby gets up there for quite a bit of time, and then here she enters KJP. Okay, all right, so let's see, does everybody have what they need? All right, so let's go with this really quickly. Hello, John Roberts, Gary Gage, the circus master of ceremonies. Yes, indeed. John Roberts says, I'm a staff RN in a predominantly POC community. Nearly everyone has expressed. Okay, I got you. Okay, so let's go over to Axios, shall we? All right, so the White House's tension podium battle. This is Alex Thompson, okay? Axios for you, coming right up. All right, this one comes in hot with, and see, this to me, this is Jean-Pierre's, this is to me her nonverbal body language. Nor if anybody asks her a question that's, that she's not prepared for, or she'll bat her eyelashes so much that they're probably having a dust storm in there. I don't know. But to me, this is actually a great shot, because this is her. She's not comfortable. She's getting ready to tell you, I'm not going to speak to that from here. I'll defer to the Department of Justice. But we've been very clear. We've been so clear about being clear. We don't know why we're not clear, but we've been very clear. Clearly, we've been clear. Okay, enough of me. All right, so here it is. They share a podium and a mutual frustration. White House Press Secretary Karine Jean-Pierre and the National Secretary Council's John Kirby frequently split the podium at media briefings. But behind the scenes, their relationship is fraught with tension. White House sources tell Axios. All right, so they say why it matters. Does it matter to you guys? I don't know. We'll see. We'll find out. It says, as President Biden heads into a tough re-election campaign, his top-ranking spokespeople are at odds while navigating a situation in which there's one press secretary in name, but 2 in practice. One for domestic policy and the other for foreign policy. This is zoom in. Some of the tension stems from how much time each gets at the podium each day. Kirby, a Biden favorite who has become the public face of the administration's response to the Israel-Hamas war, has told people he'd like to be White House press secretary one day. Jean-Pierre has told people she plans to stay in the job through the election and beyond if Biden wants her, and that he has asked her not to leave. A White House official told Axios that Kirby never volunteers that he would like to be press secretary. Jean-Pierre and Kirby have split the podium in the White House press room more frequently since the Israel-Hamas war began in October, aggravating tensions that began in the spring of 2022 when Jen Psaki departed as press secretary, current and former Biden officials said. So between the lines, they both keep appearing at the podium together for one reason. Biden likes it. Kirby has become more influential publicly and behind the scenes as he has developed a close relationship with the president. Biden frequently asked for Kirby to personally brief him. Senior advisor Anita Dunn recently had Kirby start traveling on Air Force One for domestic trips, not just international ones. In the more than 30 press briefings and gaggle since Hamas attacked Israel on October 7th, Jean-Pierre has briefed reporters solo just once during a gaggle on Air Force One. Kirby has accompanied her at every other briefing she has conducted, except for 3, when she was joined by National Security Advisor Jake Sullivan. Sullivan joined once because Kirby was ill, according to 2 people familiar with the matter. Jean-Pierre still runs these press briefings and selects which reporters ask Kirby questions rather than letting him choose. That's standard procedure for most briefing room guests, but Kirby is there often and has expressed frustration that it applies to him. Some White House aides see the practice as a sign of Jean-Pierre being insecure. The aides note that Sullivan calls on reporters himself when he attends the briefings, a practice that began during Psaki's tenure. What they're saying, a White House official who works closely with Jean-Pierre and Kirby disputed the notion that there is tension between the two. Quote, I don't recognize this description of their relationship at all. The truth is the opposite. They talk all the time and have a collegial and collaborative rapport, the official said. The intrigue, but several other White House sources say Jean-Pierre was wary of Kirby from the beginning. Point 1, when Biden offered Jean-Pierre the press secretary job in 2022, he awkwardly added that Kirby also would be joining and that they'd be a team, Jean-Pierre told people afterward. Jean-Pierre left the meeting with Biden upset and confused about whether she actually had the job and what Kirby's role would be, according to 3 people familiar with her comments at the time. Third point, a White House official told Axios that it's overwhelming in a good way to be offered the prestigious job and that Jean-Pierre was not upset or confused. And finally, not finally, but Ron Klain, the White House chief of staff, met with Jean-Pierre to try to smooth things over and reassure her that she was the press secretary. He and Dunn then worked to find an agreeable arrangement. Klain did not respond to a request for comment. Okay, so we're going on. The National Security Council leaders then were told, to their surprise, that Kirby, the 2-time Pentagon press secretary and State Department press secretary, would join their team. After haggling over what Kirby's role would be, the White House and the NSCs settled on the title of, quote, coordinator for strategic communications. Kirby, however, doesn't supervise or report to the NSC communications director. His role is more focused on public communications through coordinating messages across the administration. Jean-Pierre's relationship with her principal deputy, Olivia Dalton, also has been bumpy. Dalton voiced frustrations during her first year when she didn't brief from the podium despite several months of practice sessions. Dalton has conducted more gaggles on Air Force One recently, but has briefed reporters from the podium just once. Okay, guys, sorry about that. Okay, that was last June. A White House aide who works closely with Jean-Pierre and Dalton told Axios, quote, they have been friends for over a decade and have a strong relationship, end quote. Zoom out. Many current and former Biden officials argue that Klain and Dunn are responsible for the current tension, saying the unusual setup is unfair to both Jean-Pierre and Kirby. Before she became press secretary, Jean-Pierre didn't deal with many tough stories in the press and wasn't as experienced as Kirby or Psaki in combative briefing environments. Jean-Pierre's defenders say the arrangement undermined her from the beginning and made a difficult job harder. Some Black Democrats in the administration and on Capitol Hill say the situation was insulting because it suggested that the first Black press secretary to represent the president needed supervision. You love that, right? Was that cannibalism? Okay, and here the next point. Some current and former Biden aides have been frustrated by some flubs such as when Jean-Pierre answered a question about anti-Semitism by talking about Islamophobia. She later said she misheard the question. And finally, other current and former Biden officials say that both Jean-Pierre and Kirby should put aside any frustrations and embrace the arrangement given the chaotic world and the critical election ahead. Okay, so I don't see that getting any better. What's that reporter, April, whatever her name? I'm sure they're all ready to pounce on that because, she sabotaged from the beginning. She may just end up out of the situation. Okay. Yeah, she's just, she's doing what she's told, but she's not, I would say she's not prepared. I think there are YouTube content creators that could offer a better nonverbal communication to the press corps. And I think she's not, it's just see that she's not been briefed. She hasn't done any research on any of the matters that she's dealing with. She always seems like she's just making up. She's just flying by the seat of her pantyhose. I don't know. She just doesn't seem to be informed. And she looks down most of the time. To me, it's incompetence to me. And for all the people for anybody that's listening to this, that might want to turn this into, that might want to pull that black magic card on me. I'm sure there were plenty of more, quote, black people that were more qualified than her. I mean, honestly, who did she interview for? I mean, do they have a committee? Do they have a committee that selects these people? You couldn't find anybody else in the whole world, in these United States, that could at least present, that at least showed some public speaking decorum, that doesn't look down, that doesn't show. She shows her nonverbal is terrible. It's like her body language. She uses her shoulders a lot when she's frustrated, when she's not prepared. And to me, she can't even give, when she's up here giving these speeches about, our condolences. It doesn't even have an ounce of authenticity. You see, to me, this is what the problem is. This is the narcissistic world that we live in. And even with these holidays and all this stuff, you have a lot of people that are good at giving greeting cards, but they're not good at it being authentic. That's what she comes off as to me. There's no authenticity there. There's a lot of gaslighting there. A lot of, right? Well, if you look at it this way, she starts a lot of things out. Well, this president on day one, he delivered, but on day one, he delivered a comprehensive plan for immigration. No, on day one, he actually shut down the Keystone Pipeline. And that's the thing about these reporters that drive me crazy. They don't fact check her. Where are the fact checkers? Just get rid of the press corps and just give her some fact checkers. That might be a more engaging, it might have a more appearance that you guys are actually trying to report with some kind of veracity. Like it's just not there. And she handpicks who she speaks to, just as they handpick everything else that Biden gets. Does he ever take any questions? I mean, I'm telling you, she doesn't. I think her body language is horrible. Her demeanor is horrible. There's days that she looks like, I don't want to be there. She's like, go ahead. You in the back. Oh, but you haven't called on me in 5 months. Well, I'm not calling on you today either. Next, children, sit down. Be quiet. I'm historically here. Do you get it? It's very demoralizing. Sit down, children. Okay. Is that it? I'm just not going to answer that. I'm just not going to get ahead of the president. We've been clear. We've been crystal clear. Can't you see how clear we are? Clarity needs a case for clarity with her. Okay. Just saying. So To me, it's a disaster. Okay, I have rarely seen her. You really want to give. I've given her an opportunity, but to me, she's very rude. And what's the guy from Africa? The reporter he's an independent journalist. She absolutely has daggers for this guy. I can't think of his name, but I've watched interviews with him. I can't think of his name right, and I would know it otherwise. So, but she spars with this guy whenever she can, and the other people, they don't support. To me, even this press corps doesn't have a whole lot of integrity. Rather than them saying, "Okay, hey, if you don't start treating this with an inclusive, if you don't start managing this press corps with some inclusivity, we're out of here." I mean, I don't know. I think they even took the guy's, I think they took his pass, I think at one point. Let me get his name here. I mean, I don't know if we've talked about this before, but yeah, it's that whole intersectionality BS. Black check, female check, LGBT check, whatever. And allegedly she went to, the Eiffel, the ivory tower of Columbia. So that Cloward and Piven University, strategy university. So, who knows? I'm telling you. But I think she even worked for Move On. For all I know, this woman, she might very well be a Soros fellow. I'm telling you, these people travel in. It's a cohort. Okay, it's a whole organization. All right. So let's see the African Reporter. Kind of went down a rabbit hole. So normally I know the guy's name, but I can't think of it right now. Yeah, but Atiba, Mr. Atiba, Simon Atiba. He talks about it all the time. Even when he's incredibly, you could get, he should have an opportunity to speak or to get some answers. When somebody from Africa is in the country, he doesn't even get that opportunity. And I think he's spoken frequently about that. But then the reporters attacked him. And then you had somebody about Dakara. And it's kind of amazing. But that's typical also. I did the black on black, for the people that love to pull out the color card. It's a color on color infringement here. That it's outrageous. But she's shut down before, or if she doesn't like what you're asking, she'll shut down the whole press. And to me, it's not her press. It's just like a mean girl. She's not a professional. Okay. She should have been taking notes, not presenting anything. Not presenting. Sorry. Doesn't work for me. And I happen to be a person of some African, descent, but the line, you got to draw the line here, folks. There are plenty of people that were qualified to do that position, rather than have somebody show us the color of her freaking eyeshadow and bat up a dust storm when she's uncomfortable, when she's clearly not prepared. She's not prepared. She can't answer any questions. She doesn't know the lines. She doesn't know the briefings. She doesn't know the issues. She doesn't know. She's not, to me, it shows a huge amount of, disrespect for the office. If you don't even know if you don't even know the subjects, the issues, the concerns domestically, how can it, if you don't believe, and I can tell you don't even believe what you're saying yourself. So there's no way that anybody else can believe you. You have to believe it first. It's a performance. But she's not even a good actress. She's very much not. All right, guys. So I just want to thank you guys so much for tuning into this segment of Black Spring with Autumn. I really appreciate it. And Gary Gage says, back in the good old days, they had only 2 or 3 press conferences per year. When they started having them every day. When did they start having them every day? Good old days, says Gary Gage. And John Roberts says, she's an exact reflection of her boss. There you go. All right, guys, I appreciate it so much. So I wanted to show you a little piece of this. I don't know. I've told you guys about the whole Cat Williams thing, and I'm going to kind of leave you guys to your own devices, for the lack of a better word on that. But let's give out a little bit of a thanks, and I'm going to get you guys out of here. Thank you guys so much for coming back. I appreciate you guys from earlier. I say thanks to everybody. Let me give it from the top. We'll go to one commercial and we're out. Thank you to John Roberts coming in first, Anarchy Television, Gary Gage, the Samoan Watchman. If I have anything else, I'll come back. Maybe off screen, maybe on screen. Gary Gage, the Samoan Watchman. You guys, thank you so much for your support. So we'll have a little commercial. We'll be right back. This program is brought to you in part by our sponsors and our viewers like you. AZ Infidel, Derek C. Williams, Melinda, Marcy T, TDOA, Freedom's March, Independent Many United, Joseph Francis Burton, Luciano, Zero the Infinite, Uncool Paranoia, and Anarchy Television. We'll be right back right after this. All right, guys. And so for those of you, if you didn't see your name, or I'm working on updating, some of these are a little bit outdated, but then one of them should have been more updated. But don't worry, definitely we're supported by viewers like you. So you guys have a great rest of your Saturday. And I don't know if I come up with anything else. I have something else, but they're totally unrelated to these issues. But I will see you guys later. Have a great rest of your Saturday.